If you've got under 50,000 Rand in South Africa and you're in the market to buy your first car, this video could save you tens of thousands of Rands in the long run. Because one wrong decision in this price bracket can have you spending more than the entire car itself. I'm not reviewing cars, I'm not recommending them either, but I'm using real world examples to show you what to look out for. Welcome to the Drive-By. At this budget, very important to remember, we are buying transport. Whether that be to get you from home to work, from home to varsity. We aren't buying status and we aren't buying image either. We want a simple engine, most likely petrol, less than a 2 liter, 1.4, 1.6 being the sweet spot. We want a simple gearbox, a manual, preferably because automatic gearbox repairs are more expensive. And we want a smaller car, that being a hatchback and not a sedan. A sedan is heavier, which will add to your fuel bill. Simple engine, simple gearbox, and something that is common as well, which means parts are everywhere and parts are cheap. So the key takeaway from this point is you want something that is small, easy, and the one word being reliable. If you are spending 40 to 50,000 Rand on your first vehicle, you want to set away 5 to 8,000 Rand immediately in case anything unexpected occurs. If the vehicle needs a set of tires, that could easily wipe out the entire 5,000 Rand, and we haven't even gotten to servicing the car yet, a minor service being in the region of 2,000 Rand. We also need to factor in roadworthy, licensing, registration, and number plates, which is easily 2,000 Rand in total. However, keep in mind that's only if nothing unexpected arises during the roadworthy test that needs to be addressed. So my takeaway word from this section is unexpected. Manual gearbox versus automatic gearbox. As I mentioned earlier, this is a no-brainer. In this bracket, we want a car that is manual. While we all want to drive automatic and we want something that is easy in traffic, we need to factor in repair cost. A manual gearbox is less intricate than an automatic gearbox, and an automatic gearbox always requires more maintenance. I'm not saying that a manual gearbox doesn't require more maintenance, but generally when your manual gearbox has an issue, it will probably be the release bearing, the clutch is gone, or the pressure plate might be on its way out. However, with the automatic gearbox, things get more complicated. We're looking at clutches, we're looking at solenoids. It also has a clutch, and there's so many other parts that I might not even be aware of that makes your automatic gearbox more expensive. So this is an easy one. The takeaway word here is manual. Mileage above 250,000, even 300,000 kilometers. This is typical in this price range. High mileage doesn't kill cars, neglect does. You might be interested in a vehicle that's got 350,000 kilometers on the clock. However, it comes with a service book. It might be partial, it might not be complete. However, it does give you a storyline about the car, and it tells you that the previous owner or owners has looked after the car to an extent during its lifetime. It does also show that the vehicle has been reliable if it was able to drive 300,000 kilometers in X amount of time, and you can expect some odd wear and tear here and there depending on the age of the car. So the key word here being realistic. Cars in this price bracket, you can expect them to have certain red flags. Seat wear inside the car is very typical, as well as tarnish on the steering wheel. You can expect these with cars that have driven an excessive amount of mileage. When we move on to the exterior of the car, rust spots on the roof and around the body. In my opinion, these are acceptable red flags because you can't expect a perfect car This car might have 250, 300, 350,000 mileage on the odometer, so these are acceptable flags. When we get to the bonnet, we want to open up the oil cap. We want to give it a little bit of a sniff. We want to see if it's a bit milky under the oil cap. This will tell you if the oil is burnt, or if it hasn't been changed in a long time, or if there are previous signs of a head gasket failure. You also want to have a look at the battery and the fuse box compartment. Have a look around there. Check if there are any visible signs of tampering with the wiring as well, because these are the type of things that we don't want to see any evidence of previous bad work on the vehicle, because these are things that might cost you thousands and thousands of rands in the long run if you decide to purchase a vehicle that's got any of these red flags that I've mentioned. And while some of these things like the cosmetics are okay, the mechanicals aren't. The key takeaway here in this section being risk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow. Thoroughly inspect the cooling system of the car. Depending on where you are buying and where you are interested in a vehicle in this bracket, it might be advisable to take your mechanic with you or someone that has expert knowledge about cars. Because at the end of the day, if you are buying a headache, it will become that person's headache. So have a look at the cooling system, check if there are any leaks, have a look at the coolant bottle as well, because you don't want to run into an issue the moment you have just purchased the car and having to look for your closest garage where you can get water. So this is an easy one. The takeaway word here is cool. If you are looking at the car in this bracket, you might not have extensive knowledge about cars. However, if something looks it most likely is Look at your brakes, look at your tires, look at your suspension as well, because these are important basic things you need to look at. If you need a set of tires, like I earlier mentioned in the video, that's easily a 5,000 Rand expense. Put your hand on the brake disc, feel if there are any ridges, because these are things that are very expensive. Have a kneel down, look at the suspension, look at the shocks, check if there are any sign for leakages, because these are all roadworthy relevant items, and these are items that will cost you money, and you have literally just purchased the car. Keyword here in this segment being patience. I cannot stress enough how important this is, and to be honest, this is deal breaker. Guys, this is deal breaker. You want the person that is selling you the car, you want their details to reflect on the vehicle's registration certificate. The person selling you the car, their details need to be on the vehicle's registration certificate. I'll pop an example of the registration certificate now. So the person selling you the car, let's say it's a Mr. Abrams or a Mrs. Abrams, their ID number as in their ID book needs to be the same as what is on the registration certificate, the initials with their ID. The reason you want this to match is so that when it comes to you registering the car to you, things are a bit seamless. You don't want the vehicle to be on the previous owner's name, and it becomes your responsibility to get in hold of that person. How this happens is you might buy the car from a Mr. Abrams that buys and sells cars, and now he sells the car to you. He doesn't transfer the car to his name, however, he pockets some cash in the middle. That's a situation we don't want, because as I mentioned, it becomes your responsibility to sort out that headache. You want the vehicle's license to be paid up, regardless of whether you're buying a 50,000 Rand car or $500,000 Rand car. There are certain things that just needs to be adhered to. And you also don't want any outstanding fines on the vehicle. And last but not least, you want numbers to match. So the VIN number, which is the equivalent of your ID number to you, same in the car, well, the car has identification number. It needs to match the VIN number on the registration certificate, and the VIN number needs to be the same on the license disc. It can be found on the windscreen and certain areas in the engine bay and around the body as well. So the key takeaway from this point is transparency. You might be looking at 2 or 3 vehicles within this price range that are different brands. Choose the condition over the car over the brand. It doesn't help you having a Polo or a Toyota or a much more name brand car that is forever broken in your garage as compared to a small Kia, a small Suzuki, a small Hyundai that is getting you from work A to B. Remember, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we are buying transport. The key takeaway being from this point is comparison. As we reach the end of this video, this is more point to keep at the back of your head and for future thinking. Your first car is not your forever car. I remember my first car. We bought it and we had to do the engine. It was a terrible mistake and it was a constant headache. The goal is to have stress-free ownership. And while you might own the boring car and it might be boring, boring in this instance is actually the smart choice. So please buy smart, with the key takeaway from this point being boring. If you are in the market for a vehicle under 50,000 Rand in South Africa, you aren't looking to impress anyone. You want to move forward and you want to make your daily life living easier. If you found this video informative, let me know in the comment section and stay tuned to the channel. We'll be dropping a video next week where we're looking at 50 to 150,000 Rand buying tips. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow. The drive-by is over and out.